Hello, this is Myung Bondy for HomeTowne TV. I'm here at the Reeves-Reed Arboretum, and I have the great pleasure of introducing to you the featured solo artist of Art in the Garden, Tom Holmes. Tom, what an incredible array of work that you've installed. Could you tell us about your work and your inspiration?
The show's called Elements. I'm working with stone, metal, wood, light, ice, and water. I've got about 28 outdoor pieces, 14 or 15 small pieces inside, and then 14 ice prints from winter work that I do.
I understand that you have created the site-specific work.
Correct.
How do you go about creating something like that?
I walked the property. We came last summer, interviewed, loved the property, decided to do the show, spent some time here, and there's really only so many places you can put sculpture, and then I built to those specific spaces for the show.
And you have so many different media. You use all of these elements.
Mm-hmm.
Which are your favorite elements? And if you had to choose one, what would that be?
They came in order. Wood is my first medium material that I started with as a child and working. So wood is kind of primary. Stone and metal. Stone came second, metal third. Ice came about 9 or 10 years ago, which is related to water, and light is really just part of the cycles of the seasons. The reason I allow weather to kind of dictate my activities, I do ice in the winter simply because stone and steel is so much more difficult to be working with. So I kind of follow the seasons and the weather that way. But the pieces themselves of stone, steel, metal, those types of issues, they tell me what to do, where to go, so that I can put them together properly, I think, make the right decisions about them. Too much, as you can see, these stones are broken by hand with a hammer, or actually throwing them to the ground in order to break them to try and get natural fractures in them. There's no carving, there's no chipping, those types of things. So I'm kind of always working with natural materials, looking for the shapes to tell me how can the pieces come together in the puzzle, what do they need, what kind of a base or a structure, and that kind of process is endless. The natural elements will lead you to where you need to be to make a good piece. It's actually aluminum. The thinner material is aluminum, and then the stainless steel is about 3 different sections that are spot welded together. So they're fairly large collections of twisted stainless steel, all hand bent stainless steel that's spot welded together, so it does hang together pretty well.
Oh, okay.
A bolt that's welded to steel for the trapezoidal basin to get bolted down to, so those pieces come apart so it can be moved a little more easily, and then the stainless steel just sits into the basin. This is a slate piece. You had asked about how to get it so thin, and I didn't. One of the stone yards I work with called me up, and this had sheared off a larger piece of slate, as thin as it is, and they knew to call me for that. These are oxides, iron oxides, that are giving this orange color, and the thinness was fantastic for a very delicate piece that this is. So it's the same technique. This was actually the first one in the series from 2012 where it's this type of jewelry effect where you drill a hole and it's all hanging on a rod.
And where do you get the materials?
Scavenge mostly, steel yards, scrap yards. Some things are fabricated, stone yards. I have a couple that I use, and then in my travels as well, I'm always collecting.
And what were some of the materials that you foraged for this particular site?
One of the pieces right here in the back here, which is Vortex, that's all beech. That came down in the hurricane, I believe was last October. So that's all foraged materials.
And the burnt?
The burnt wood came out of a mill. It's a piece of pine from a mill in Pennsylvania by me, and I do that burning at the studio. You can't really get that kind of texture unless you do it specifically. So that's not scavenged materials. Yep.
I know that there's an exhibit that's going to be indoors.
Correct.
That will feature photographs of your ice sculpture.
Yes, yeah. The 14 or 15 prints, I think it is, prints on canvas of ice work that I do in the winter. I was able to pull faces out of the ice and with different techniques, and so they're all portraits, abstract portraits.
You saw the faces in there. That was just naturally there.
I helped pull them out of the ice.
How do you do
and
that?
create them with different techniques, mostly noticing that they're there, but then enhancing them in different ways.
I understand you're also a musician.
Correct.
And so how did you become an artist and change your profession or your career trajectory?
I'm not sure about that, but those things happen. I'm still a musician, and I've studied ancient instrument construction, so I'm a builder as well, and I've always been a maker, and I think that sculpture is the primary issue.
Oh, you're prolific. You wake up every day and go, what am I going to do today?
I usually have a list, but I do like living that way.
That's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Artist, sculptor, musician, photographer, Tom Holmes is an inspiration to all artists, and he reminds us that the creative life can offer multiple possibilities. This is Myung Bondy, now back to the studio.